You see, it's fantastic to see, right? I'll give you an example. When my company, which was pretty new then, in 2014, when we hosted Davido's very first concert in America, it was in New York. It was in some place that was not where we are now. It was one of the biggest shows at that time, and because of how things were, the security couldn't handle the number of people. Also, but remember, because we were not also in the proper venues, we're not able to coordinate properly. But it reminded me again of the purpose why we started this was to make a difference. So we started making deliberate efforts to get into the proper venues. Because remember, they were not allowing us. Remember, everyone is celebrating Afrobeat now. Everyone wants a part of it, but they were not allowing us to do events, yes, in the proper venues. I remember it took me 3 years to secure the Apollo Theater to do anything there before I hosted Burna Boy then. They were not opening our emails because they did not believe that the Afrobeat artists
could do that.
Could do those things. Now we are selling out 30,000 capacity venues. It shows us that first, it's important that we believe in ourselves and we are consistent in our work.
You were part of the team that organized Burna's Madison Square Garden show, were you?
Correct.
How let's talk about that. Actually, that's a very historic moment. First African artist to do that. How do you strategize and make sure that he pulls that off? Because if he had flopped, that's a big dent. But but it had to work. So how do you do that?
Well, it's something we do all the time, which is strategize. I think the main part of that was to ensure that the timing was right, and the marketing was right. Right. So interestingly, we were able to sit down and figure out how to get everybody to that one location for that historic moment. And I think that it has opened doors to a lot of bigger things across the culture. So
now let's talk about, I guess, before we segue to the next point, which would be the shows that you have coming up. I am really curious more about your contribution towards Afrobeats as we know it, especially here in the United States. Time and time again, we hear about how the promoter is the pivotal guy. People need to get booked. Once upon a time, it was very strange for an African artist to be booked. Now they're doing stadiums. They're all over the place. They're plastered. They're charting on billboards. How important do you think your role is towards that, to this pivotal moment?
The truth is that a lot of times a lot of people tend to overlook the importance of the promoter in their success story. Our artists, some artists think that it's all them. The success story is all them and their team. No. The promoters play a serious role because it's the promoters who would take that flyer to the streets.
Right.
It's a promoter who is knocking at that door and saying, I need you to attend. I need you to listen to this. Have you heard of this guy? From 200 capacity to 40,000 is the promoter who does the knocking at the door. So without us doing this, now every type of promoter you see, the big promotional companies, they're all throwing money at Afrobeats.
Oh, yes.
And they're all trying to drag the shows with us because they see they see it as lucrative now. But when we started, they didn't see it as lucrative. Now everybody wants to book an Afrobeat artist.
Right.
Why? Because we've built it to be lucrative.